One of the most uncomfortable nights of my entire life came during an ayahuasca ceremony. And the medicine came on that night with this intensity I had never felt before in my entire life. And it brought with it this immense restlessness, this anxiety in my body that I felt on an everyday basis, but times 1,000. And my mind was spiraling in these deep negative loops, and I just wanted it to stop, man. Like, I really just wanted it to be over. I was begging the medicine, like, please, I got the lesson, end this, please. But I knew that there was no eject button, that I had to see this thing through, and that the only way out was through. And so I came back to the simplicity of feeling the breath in and out. Okay, we're gonna get through this. In, slow, long breath out. And I knew that this was the medicine, right? This is what I had signed up for, but it still sucked. And eventually, after what felt like years, but was only about 6 to 8 hours, the sun began to shine, the sunrise came up over the jungle, and the birds started chirping. Oh my God, what an amazing sound in that moment. And what was a snap of a finger almost, I went from feeling the worst that I'd ever felt in my entire life to all of a sudden, I felt the best that I'd ever felt in my entire life. Like, there was this immense peace that overcame my body, this joy that I had never felt before, going from the worst to the best. And I knew that in that moment, something really big had happened that night, that this huge release had been taken off my shoulders, that I had let go of this heavy weight that I'd been carrying for so many years. And now looking back years and years later, I still feel that peace. That's still with me today. And a lot of people would consider what I experienced that night a bad trip. But what I've realized is that bad trips are one of the most misunderstood components of plant medicine. Since that day, since that night, I've sat with ayahuasca now over 40 times. I've had the opportunity to lead over 100 guys through their first ever journey. And I've seen a lot of hard nights. I've had my fair share of a lot of hard nights beyond just that night. And what I found is that a hard night is actually quite the opposite of what a lot of people will tell you on the internet. And so in this video today, I'm going to explain what a bad trip is, why it happens, and what to do if you find yourself having a bad trip. So the term bad trip was actually created in the 1960s, and it arose through the psychedelic type culture that was created. And a lot of it was recreational psychedelic culture, right? Doing LSD at music festivals. And it was describing someone that did too much LSD at a music festival and was having a very bad time, right? Was freaking out, was having a bad trip. But the thing is that an ayahuasca ceremony is entirely different than doing LSD at a music festival, for example. Ayahuasca is built around confrontation. It's built around facing parts of yourself that you've been trying to avoid in every single day life, parts of yourself that must be felt and brought into the awareness to be able to be healed. And so hard nights can absolutely happen during an ayahuasca ceremony, but as I'll share, they're very different than bad trips. And so a hard night can look like being very restless, as I described my journey, right? Very restless in the body, thrashing around all night on your bed. It can be crying for hours. It can be puking, physically purging into a bucket all night long, potentially. It can be visions of darkness, dark memories, just dark thoughts coming up in general. It could even feel like you've probably heard people describe this feeling, this vision of having your body annihilated, your physical body being broken into pieces, and that can happen. And if you were to walk into a temple and see someone experiencing that, and you didn't know what was going on, from the outside, that could definitely look like someone's worst night ever. It could look like someone's having a very bad, traumatic trip. But on the inside, what's happening is deep healing. They're actually receiving exactly what they need and what they signed up for in that ceremony. And so let's talk about why hard nights happen often in ayahuasca and what that actually is. So you see, when we bottle our emotions, and as men, we're really good at that, right? When we bottle things up, when we don't feel our feelings, we don't process things in the moment, and we push them down, we push them down, we push them down within ourselves, they don't just go away, right? They just get stored like a pressure cooker, deep, deep within us. And so then when you come into an ayahuasca ceremony, you drink the medicine, you're signing up to face those things head on, right? That's why you're there, is to confront those head on. And that process of confronting those things isn't always super comfortable. The more you've been avoiding, the more you've been suppressing, repressing, pushing things down, the more that's going to have to come up. Again, think about this pressure cooker. Like you open the valve of a pressure cooker and the steam starts to come out. Well, the more steam is in there, the more steam has to come out. And so that can be an hour, a multi-hour long process. That can be a whole night process of allowing these things to come up. And when that happens, it oftentimes feels like friction. It feels like discomfort because the medicine is a very high vibration. This is a really good way to think about it. Medicine, ayahuasca, is a very high vibration, okay? Whereas the densities in our body, the stored emotions that have been there for many years are very low vibration. So when that high vibration of the medicine meets the low vibration, the stored thing in your body, it creates friction, right? That friction can feel like anxiety in the body, restlessness, discomfort, physically purging, crying, darkness, dark thoughts, spinning loops of negativity in your mind. That's that friction between high and low vibration rubbing together. And that's the healing process actually happening, right? Through that friction process, the high vibration of the medicine is breaking up that stored density in your body, that stored emotion. Then it breaks apart and it can come up as a physical purge, right? It can come up as shaking, it can come up as tears, but it must come up to go out. And that high vibration medicine must work through that density. And that's where our human minds label it as, oh, this is really uncomfortable, this is bad, because of that friction. And so it's not a bad trip. It's the medicine doing exactly what it's supposed to. And the men that have the most stored emotions, the men that have seen the most in their past, that didn't process it, veterans especially, people that grew up with a lot of trauma, oftentimes their experiences are going to be a bit more challenging through this. But again, not a bad trip. Hard, yes. But that is the medicine working in real time. Gratitude for it. And so the reframe that I want to share with you today is that the hardest nights are actually the most beneficial. Those are when the most transformation, the most healing happens. You see, the fun nights, the joyous nights, which can happen as well in ayahuasca, just as much as the hard nights, where things are just so light, rainbows and butterflies, pure love, bliss, all of the highest feelings and emotions you can experience. It's amazing. And it's always really great when that happens. And the hard nights, the challenging nights where you're feeling deeply and you're really uncomfortable and you're purging and you're just going through it mentally, physically, those are often what I've seen through my own 40 plus ceremonies, what I've seen through the 100 plus guys that I've brought through their first ever journey. Those are where the most transformation happens. When guys look back 6 months later, 12 months later, 2 years later, the guys that went through the really hard experience in the moment and they just absolutely hated it and it sucked and like, why did I do this? Those are the guys that have now seen and sustained the biggest transformation. And so sure, it's not fun in the moment, but that's why we do hard things, because of the growth on the other side, the inner peace, the contentment, the joy in everyday life through a hard experience like that makes that hard night that's only 4, 6, 8 hours, it can feel a lot longer. It makes it so worth it. And so if you're having a hard night, you didn't get a bad batch of medicine, you're not doing anything wrong, there's nothing wrong with you. The medicine is doing exactly what it needs to do to help you release, to let go of what you're carrying and what you signed up for when you came to this medicine, to this ceremony. Accept it with gratitude. So this is one of the most important parts of this video. And I want to really make sure I reiterate the point that there's a difference between a hard night and a truly bad traumatic experience. And this is where the difference between a really high quality retreat comes in and a really sketchy, unqualified retreat comes in, right? So when someone has a hard night in one of our ceremonies, they're fully supported, right? They've been prepped for this experience. They've been medically cleared. They've done the prep work mentally, physically, emotionally. And then in ceremony, there's a number of facilitators that are holding this space really, really strongly. There's multiple facilitators for the 20 to 25 guests. And so they're not overwhelmed, even if multiple people are having a hard time. And if someone is having a hard time, facilitators come to them and help them through this experience. Maybe they get them water. Maybe they take them out of the temple and help them talk through this if necessary. They just make them feel felt, make them feel safe. And then the shaman can come over and actually help move energy for them. Maybe doing some body work, maybe doing some kapal, some energy clearing to help them move through this passage, as we call it. Whereas if you are an unqualified retreat ceremony with an unqualified facilitator, you don't feel safe, you don't feel held, you don't feel supported through this process. And so when bad things arise from ayahuasca, when a truly negative outcome, bad trip happens, a traumatic experience, it's usually because of one of two reasons. The first one being someone wasn't qualified to be able to sit with the medicine, right? And this is on the facilitator. They didn't screen them medically. They didn't interview them thoroughly and ensure that they're fully qualified to have this experience and work with this medicine. The second reason is usually someone that was qualified, but they're sitting with an unqualified facilitator, that maybe the medicine was too strong, maybe the container wasn't held strongly enough. A number of reasons can arise, but these are both very avoidable. And a reputable ceremony, a reputable facilitator and team will ensure that neither of these two examples happen. And so, again, to reiterate, there can be truly bad outcomes and traumatic experiences that happen as a result of sitting with ayahuasca, but they're almost always a result of facilitator fault of one of two ways. And so a great reminder to be really mindful of who you're sitting with if you are going to choose to sit with ayahuasca. Vet the retreat, vet the facilitator. How do they screen you? How do they handle hard situations in ceremony? Do your due diligence to ensure safety. And so if you are having a hard time in ceremony, you find yourself having a really hard night during an ayahuasca ceremony, I want to share with you some really helpful tips that are going to help you move through this in the most effective way possible. And the first one is don't fight it. If you've ever had any type of psychedelic plant medicine experience, you probably know that fighting it is, there's no reason to fight it. It's useless. And fighting it oftentimes creates more discomfort, right? What you resist persists. And so accept it, soften into it, feel it fully, and just be with it, but don't fight it. Be with the breath. The breath is one of your best friends during an experience like this and in everyday life as well. The breath is your path, your bridge back to the present moment. And so deep in breaths through the nose, long out breaths through the mouth, and really just breathing right here into the heart space. It's going to help you stay grounded. It's going to help you just feel safe in your body. So go back to the breath. Trust the facilitator. Trust the ceremony. You vetted them. You obviously trusted them for a reason. And so lean on that trust. They know what they're doing. They've been here many times. They've taken on most likely thousands and thousands of people through this experience. And let them know if you are really struggling and having a hard time, raise your hand and ask for support. That's what they're there for. Mantras that can work, just reminding yourself that you're safe, reminding yourself that this is the medicine working, that this will eventually end. Sometimes it feels like it'll never end and time's kind of warped in your head, but reminding yourself that this is the medicine. I'm all good, I'm safe. This will eventually come to pass as well. And then the last thing is don't try to analyze, don't try to make sense of what's happening in the moment. The facilitator that we work with, he talks about, think about a cat, right? Throwing up a hairball. The cat doesn't try to dissect the hairball when it throws it up. Same for you in ceremony. If you're really going through a deep passage and you're letting out a lot of things, you're letting go of a lot of things, don't try to analyze it in the moment. It most likely won't make any sense. And it's going to take days, weeks, sometimes even years to really understand what that experience was. So just be grateful for it, accept, trust. The medicine is incredibly intelligent. The facilitators are trained, and be with whatever is. And so what I want you to take away from this video today, if you find yourself having a hard time in ceremony one day, maybe you have had a hard time in the past, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with the medicine. This is the medicine working. There was something within you that was ready to be released, to be healed. And sometimes that healing process is uncomfortable. It's a very frictionless process. And so gratitude for those hard times. Come back to the breath. Hallelujah for it all. It's all beautiful. And keep moving forward. So if you're someone that's going to go and do your first ceremony with ayahuasca, to reiterate, be very mindful of where you're going, vet the facilitators, vet the retreat. I have a free asset here in the description. It's a prep guide. I would highly encourage you to go through. It's going to help you prep your mind, your body, your soul for this experience. And if you're looking for a retreat, for men specifically, I host retreats. It's the Immerse Retreat in Costa Rica. It's one of the most epic experiences in the world. It is a 7-day retreat in Costa Rica. We do a very immersive 8-week prep process with our guys as well beforehand, an 8-week post-retreat immersive integration process. So it's the whole entire thing. It's a multi-month process, helping get the most out of this experience. We work with some of the best facilitators in the world that are very safe and very skilled. And so if that's something that you're interested in, check out the link in the bio as well. You can get more information on the Immerse Retreat. You can apply there as well. I appreciate you watching this video today. Much love. Peace.